Marcus Ellison had just pulled into his driveway after a grueling 12-hour overnight shift. As a police detective, he dealt with the worst of humanity on the job, but what he didn't expect was finding the real problem right at home. He stepped out of his cruiser, rubbed his neck, and spotted it. A bright yellow envelope taped dead center on his front door. HOA violation notice. It read in bold print. Marcus sighed, snatched it off, and ripped it open as he walked up the steps. It was too early in the morning for this nonsense. The letter was typed neatly on HOA letterhead, complete with a gold emblem and the name Canyon Ridge Estates Neighborhood Association. The violation: unapproved backyard installation of an outdoor spa structure, visible from neighboring properties. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Visible from what? The sky. His 6-foot privacy fence surrounded the entire backyard. The jacuzzi just 2 weeks earlier wasn't visible unless you hovered above it in a drone. He flipped to the second page. A fine was scheduled to begin if the unauthorized unit wasn't removed within 10 days. The letter ended with a signature in blue ink: Karen Whitmore, HOA president. Marcus muttered under his breath, "Of course, it's Karen." He wasn't one to jump to stereotypes, but this Karen fit the profile. She lived 2 houses down in a white ranch with plastic flamingos, had an HOA badge on her mailbox, and patrolled the neighborhood like she was running Homeland Security. Later that morning, Marcus called the number listed in the letter. Karen answered with her trademark clipped tone. "Canyon Ridge HOA, this is Karen." "Hey, this is Marcus Ellison. I got a violation notice this morning about my jacuzzi." Pause. "Ah yes, that structure doesn't comply with Article 12, Section B, regarding unapproved additions, but it's not visible. I followed the guidelines. And 3 houses on this street have hot tubs in plain sight." Karen responded with icy calm. "Yes, but those were installed before the 2019 bylaw update. Yours wasn't. It's non-compliant, so it's grandfathered for them, but not me. Rules are rules, Mr. Ellison. If everyone starts bending them, what's the point of having an HOA?" Marcus clenched his jaw. He could smell the power trip through the phone. "Well," he said carefully, "I just figured a quick conversation could clear things up before jumping to fines." Karen's tone didn't budge. "If you disagree with the notice, you may appeal in writing. Otherwise, you'll receive a daily fine of $50 starting next week." She hung up. Marcus stared at his phone for a long moment. Then he laughed. Tasha, his wife, peeked from the kitchen. "Was that her?" "Yep," Marcus said, setting the phone down. "Karen's on a mission. She's always been petty, but this feels extra, right? Like she's trying to make an example out of us." Marcus wasn't paranoid. Not usually, but something about how fast the violation came, how formal the language was, felt more targeted than procedural. That night, while Marcus and Tasha sat out on the patio, enjoying a glass of wine under the stars, their daughter Nina ran out, holding a crumpled piece of paper. "Daddy, this was on the gate." Marcus unfolded it. Another HOA notice, this one handwritten. "Unapproved lighting may violate Code 7.1. Please correct within 24 hours. He looked up at the string lights above them. "I installed these 4 years ago." Tasha shook her head. "Now she's just harassing us." He exhaled slowly. "I think it's time to document this." He pointed toward the corner of the yard. "Tomorrow, I'm installing a camera. Let's see what we catch." What Marcus didn't know was that Karen had already been inside their backyard. At night, clipboard in hand, measuring tape out, and she wasn't just targeting him. She was watching everybody by day. Karen Whitmore was retired. By every other hour. She was the unofficial sheriff of Canyon Ridge Estates. Her daily routine included walking her tiny white Pomeranian, Peaches, at precisely 6:30 a.m., checking every driveway for improperly parked cars, and carrying a clipboard, thicker than most small-town law books. She called it the Civic Harmony Manual. But most of the neighborhood didn't see harmony. They saw a woman with too much time, and far too little empathy. When she wasn't enforcing rules, Karen was in her garage, which she'd converted into an HOA command center. Laminated maps of the subdivision, filing cabinets labeled trash bin offenders, and unpainted mailboxes, a corkboard full of photos taken through bushes, from sidewalks, and even across backyards. One of the biggest, dead center, was Marcus's jacuzzi, and below it, written in red marker, "Non-compliant, must go." Across the street, Marcus was installing the new outdoor camera. Tasha stood beside him, arms crossed. "Are you really thinking she came into our yard?" Marcus nodded. That fine about the string lights. No one can see them unless they're in the backyard. She's not just watching from the sidewalk. Tasha hesitated. That's creepy. Exactly. This isn't about rules anymore. It's personal. Just then, a familiar buzzing noise rolled Bikerin in her golf cart. Peaches in her lap, clipboard clutched like a weapon. She slowed near Marcus's driveway. He waved, she didn't wave back. Instead, she held up her phone and snapped a photo of his open garage. Have a blessed day, she called, voice sharp as ice. Tasha blinked. Did she just take a picture of our garage? Oh, she absolutely did. Later that night, Marcus checked the camera feed for the first time. Nothing unusual yet, just a few clips of squirrels and neighborhood cats. But he labeled and saved the files anyway. 2 nights later, the footage changed everything. At exactly 2:43 a.m., a shadow appeared at the fence. It moved slowly, cautiously. The camera's night vision kicked in, revealing a slim figure in dark clothes, sunglasses, set, night and a clipboard. Karen. She slipped through a side gate and locked at the time and crept across the yard. She crouched next to the jacuzzi, squinting at something. Then pulled a measuring tape from her bag. Marcus paused the footage and let out a low whistle. Caught red-handed. Tasha leaned in. She's measuring the hot tub. Marcus rewound it. Look, she's also taking photos. Karen moved with strange precision, scribbling notes on her clipboard like she was building a criminal case. Then she turned, slipped back out through the gate, and disappeared into the shadows. Marcus leaned back in his chair. This isn't just HOA harassment. This is trespassing. Tasha's voice was calm, but sharp. You need to report this. I am the report. The next morning, Marcus stopped by the HOA office, technically just a room inside the community center. Karen was behind the desk, sipping coffee and scrolling through neighborhood surveillance footage on her tablet. Marcus entered, holding a USB drive. Morning, Karen. Thought you'd want to see this. She smiled tightly. Is this your appeal? He set the drive down. No, it's evidence of you trespassing into my yard at 2:43 a.m. The color drained from her face. Excuse me, I've got video. You measured my hot tub, took photos, all without permission. That's a crime, Karen. She blinked. That's absurd. I was doing a compliance check. You didn't lock your gate. I merely walked through for documentation. You just admitted that on record, Marcus said. Thanks. Karen stood abruptly. You think this little intimidation act is going to scare me? Marcus tilted his head. No, but I think it might scare a judge. He left without another word, but the wheels were already turning behind Karen's tight smile. She hadn't lost control in years, and now, she wasn't going down without a fight. If someone trespassed on your property to enforce a petty rule, what would you do? Comment too far if you think Karen just crossed the line. And don't forget to hit that like button, because what she does next, it's not just illegal, it's insane. After catching Karen trespassing on camera, Marcus expected the drama to die down. He was wrong. The next morning, another notice showed up, this time handwritten in red ink. Taped to his backyard gate, excessive spa steam and noise after hours violates HOA quiet enjoyment clause. Final warning. Tasha held it up with 2 fingers like it was contaminated. Steam? Really? What's next? Too many bubbles. Marcus wasn't laughing. He recognized the handwriting. It matched the strange note they'd found earlier about the backyard lights. And he wasn't the only target. That same week, their neighbor Todd, easygoing guy who kept to himself, got fined for unauthorized solar pathway lights. He hadn't even turned them on yet. Karen spiraling, Todd said. I think she's checking people's yards at night. Marcus frowned. I know she is. Word began spreading. A couple down the street had their mailbox flagged for being 1 inch too low. A single mom was told her Halloween decorations were an eyesore and had 48 hours to remove them. Even though it was October 3rd, by midweek, Marcus and Tasha had compiled 6 hours of footage. Karen was showing up between 2 and 4 a.m., slipping through backyards, ducking behind fences, using a laser pointer to measure light angles like she was training for a stealth ops mission. One video even caught her walking Peaches while wearing night vision goggles. Tasha nearly choked on her tea watching it. She looks like a rejected mall cop auditioning for Survivor. But the funny part faded fast. Because one night, Karen didn't just measure, she vandalized. The Ellisons woke up to find their fence spray-painted with the words, "Nitrogen monoxide exceptions for cops." Tasha stared at it, stunned. She's targeting you because of your job. Marcus didn't respond. He was already reviewing camera footage, fast-forwarding through the night. And there she was. 3:14 a.m., dark hoodie. Flashlight in mouth. Can of red spray paint in hand. Peaches trailing behind on a retractable leash. Karen made no effort to hide. She stared straight into the camera, grinned, and painted the words slowly like a threat. Marcus zoomed in and paused the frame. "This isn't HOA stuff anymore," he said. "This is harassment. Targeted," Tasha crossed her arms. "And criminal." Marcus sent the footage to a friend in the department for review. He knew he couldn't handle this case directly conflict of interest, but he wasn't backing down either. Later that day, he received a call from a private number. Karen. "Detective Ellison," she said in a voice coded in fake professionalism, "I've received your little video compilation. Congratulations on your surveillance setup. You broke into my yard, twice. You spray painted my property. You've stalked neighbors." A long pause. "I was only enforcing the bylaws. You should know your position doesn't make you exempt." "I never asked to be exempt," Karen snapped, her tone shifting. "You think being a cop means you're above everyone else. But this neighborhood needs order. And I'm the one holding it together. By trespassing and vandalizing. It's not vandalism if it's a warning." There was silence. "You just confessed to a crime, Karen." Another pause. Then a soft laugh. "Oh, Marcus, you think I'm scared of you? I've dealt with people like you before. You think you can hide behind a badge? Fine, but I'm not hiding anymore either." She hung up. Marcus set the phone down slowly. That was a threat. Tasha stood at the doorway. "We need to go public with this. HOA meetings in 3 days, Marcus said. "She wants a fight." He turned the laptop around to show her the paused image of Karen holding the spray paint. "She's going to get one." Has your HOA ever crossed the line from annoying to dangerous? Comment, expose her if you're ready to see Karen's secrets come out. And hit that subscribe button because the HOA meeting from hell is about to begin. The community center buzzed with quiet tension. Folding chairs lined up in rows, lukewarm coffee in paper cups, and a table of stale cookies. That's how most HOA meetings went in Canyon Ridge Estates. But not this one. This meeting had a crowd. More than 20 homeowners packed the room. Some came out of curiosity, others came out of frustration. But most came because Karen had finally gone too far. Karen entered with her usual flare clipboard in hand. HOA badge pinned to her blouse, and peaches stuffed inside a glittery tote bag marked emotional support. Marcus and Tasha sat near the back. Marcus had submitted a request to speak under the open comments section. He made sure the USB drive was in his pocket. Karen tapped the mic. "Let's begin." Her voice cut through the hum like a rusty blade. She launched right into agenda items. Parking violations. Garden gnomes. A broken sprinkler head by Lot 17. Then she paused. Next item violation review. Marcus Ellison. Lot 22. Spa installation in direct violation of HOA Regulation 4.7. Marcus stood. "I'd like to speak on that." Karen pursed her lips. "The time for appeal has passed." Marcus stepped forward anyway and plugged the USB into the projector port. The screen behind Karen lit up. 2:43a.m. Karen. In a hoodie, inside his yard, the entire room gasped. Someone in the back muttered, "Is that her?" Karen froze. The video played without sound, but the footage said everything. Her measuring tape, her clipboard, her sneaky retreat out the gate. Then came the spray paint video, the red letters across the fence, nitrogen monoxide exceptions for cops. Karen stepped away from the podium, hands trembling. "This is taken out of context." Marcus turned to the room. "I didn't want to do this, but this isn't just about a hot tub. This is about harassment, trespassing, intimidation." Tasha stood to. "We've got 6 other neighbors who've had similar experiences. Some are too scared to speak." At that, Todd stood. "I got fined for lights I never even turned on." Another woman, "She told me my daughter's lemonade stand was an unlicensed business." Then an elderly couple, "She took pictures through our bathroom window." The room erupted. Dozens of voices at once. "She threatened my teenager over a skate ramp." "She told me my dog barked in an aggressive tone." "She reported me to animal control for owning 2 cats." Karen raised her voice. "This is a smear campaign. I've maintained order in this neighborhood for 10 years. You people think you want freedom until your grass grows too long or someone paints their door neon green." Marcus looked straight at her. "This isn't order. This is control. And it ends now. The HOA's vice president, Mr. Daniels, stood slowly. He was usually invisible, more of a rubber stamp than a leader, but tonight, he spoke. Ms. Whitmore, we've reviewed your financial reports. There are discrepancies. Dues marked as community maintenance, spent on salon visits and flight tickets. We have receipts. Karen's jaw dropped. That's outrageous. You've been misusing HOA funds, Daniels continued. And now there's video evidence of trespassing and vandalism. He cleared his throat. Effective immediately, I'm calling a special vote to remove you as HOA president. Karen's eyes darted across the room. You're all ungrateful. Without me, this neighborhood would fall apart. A woman near the door muttered, we're willing to take that risk. Karen snatched her clipboard and stormed out. Peaches barking wildly in her tote. The door slammed shut behind her. For the first time in a long time, silence. Then someone clapped. Then another. A wave of applause spread through the room. Marcus sat down. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. Justice was finally catching up. Ever seen someone in power lose it when the truth comes out? Comment karma if you think Karen got what she deserved. Dawn, don't forget to like and subscribe, because her story isn't over yet. For the next 2 days, it felt like the neighborhood could finally breathe. The HOA board sent out a formal notice. Karen Whitmore had been temporarily suspended, pending a financial audit and potential legal action. Kids played in the street again. Someone hung up Halloween decorations without getting a citation. Even Todd put his solar lights back in. But the peace didn't last. Marcus knew better. He'd seen it before when someone with control issues loses everything. They don't just go quietly, and Karen was quiet. Too quiet. Tasha noticed it first. She hasn't posted a single thing on the neighborhood Facebook group. Marcus nodded. That's not like her. Then came the note. This one wasn't taped to a gate or mailbox. It was shoved through their front door. No envelope, no HOA letterhead. Just a torn sheet of paper in jagged handwriting. Remove that jacuzzi or I'll do it for you. Marcus stared at it for a full 10 seconds. Then folded it carefully and placed it in a Ziploc bag. Tasha's voice was tight. She's serious. I think she snapped. That night, Marcus advised Tasha to take Nina to her parents' place for the weekend, just to be safe. She didn't argue. He set up 2 more motion cameras. Reinforced the backyard gate. Slept with one ear open. But the real storm hit the following evening. Marcus had gone out for 20 minutes to grab takeout from the burger place down the street. When he pulled onto his block, he noticed the flashing lights before he saw the wreckage. His heart dropped. His fence, what used to be a sturdy 6-foot privacy wall, was smashed to pieces, and his jacuzzi, cracked, dented, flooding the yard like a busted water main. The front half of a white SUV sat in the middle of the disaster. Front wheels buried in mud. The engine smoking. Karen stood beside it, wearing a neck brace, arms waving, voice shrill, as she ranted at the 2 responding officers. She jumped the curb. One neighbor whispered. Came through like a battering ram. Marcus approached slowly, calm. To calm. One of the officers turned. Detective Ellison. Yeah, Marcus said quietly. I live here. Karen spun toward him, her face red. This is your fault. You provoked me. You poisoned the whole neighborhood against me. He pointed at the cracked spa. So your solution was to drive through my fence. Karen's eyes darted between the officers. It was an accident. I hit the gas instead of the brake. The road curves weird. There's no curve. Marcus said flatly. It's a straight street, always has been. I was trying to warn you, she hissed, before someone else did it for me. That was enough. One officer stepped forward. Ma'am, please place your hands behind your back. Karen froze. What? No. I'm the victim here. I have neck trauma. Peaches is terrified. Peaches sat in the passenger seat, yawning. The officer didn't flinch. You're under arrest for criminal mischief, reckless endangerment, and trespassing. Karen screamed as they cuffed her, demanding to speak to a lawyer, a councilman, the mayor, anyone. Marcus stood quietly, watching. He didn't gloat, he didn't smirk, he just felt relief. But then Karen said something that made his stomach tighten. You think this is over, Ellison? You think you've won? Just wait until I file a counterclaim. I know things about this neighborhood. About you. He tilted his head. You just drove into a cop's backyard, Karen, and it's all on camera. Her face went pale as the realization hit her like the very fence she'd smashed through. Ever seen karma show up with a tow truck? Comment Karen went too far. If you think this was the meltdown she had coming. And hit that subscribe button because the aftermath is messier than the hot tub flood. Karen Whitmore had been many things over the years, intimidating, obsessive, and relentless. But now, she was in cuffs as she was driven away. Peaches still in the SUV, barking like a wind-up toy. Neighbors lined the sidewalk in stunned silence. No one spoke until the cruiser disappeared around the corner. Then the applause started. Soft at first, then louder. From porches, from front lawns, from behind camera phones. For once, the HOA president wasn't holding the neighborhood hostage. Marcus didn't stay for the celebration. He walked into his backyard, his boots sloshing through the flooded grass. His beloved jacuzzi, the one he'd saved for over 2 years to buy, was a total loss. Cracked in half. Pump destroyed. Power lines frayed and sparking from the impact. Tasha returned home an hour later with Nina. She gasped when she saw the wreckage. Marcus, he shook his head. She aimed for it. On purpose. I thought she'd just harass you with citations. I didn't think she'd do this. Neither did Marcus. But that wasn't the part bothering him now. It was what she'd said as they cuffed her. I know things about this neighborhood. About you. Marcus couldn't shake the look in her eyes. Not fear. Not regret. Confidence. The next morning, the HOA vice president, Mr. Daniels, stopped by with an envelope. We're voting to permanently remove her next week, but you should see this. Inside were receipts. Dozens of them. HOA funds spent on suspicious items, spa visits in neighboring cities. A $900 dinner listed as a member strategy session. A hotel stay in Reno under the name K. Whitmore, HOA conference. We have no record of any conference. Daniels said grimly. But that wasn't all. Attached was a scanned note. Left anonymously in the HOA Dropbox. Typed in block font. Karen wasn't acting alone. Check the budget line titled Private Compliance Operations. You're only scratching the surface. Marcus's instincts kicked in. His badge didn't mean much in HOA territory, but his brain was still wired to investigate. He pulled up the public HOA financial report and scanned the PDF. Tucked between landscaping and community events was a vague line item. Private compliance. $14,250. That amount was billed monthly. For over a year. Marcus cross-referenced vendors. No local business with that name. No contractors. No invoices. That night, he dug deeper, found a single online reference linking private compliance to a shell company based out of Arizona. It listed no physical address. Only a P.O. box. And one name under agent of record. Karen Whitmore. Tasha leaned over his shoulder. She created her own fake company. Just to funnel HOA money into it. Marcus exhaled. Looks that way. Then his phone buzzed. Blocked number, he answered. Ellison, a low voice responded. Raspy male, you're poking into things. You don't understand. Detective Karen's gone, but the people backing her. Not so easy to remove. Before Marcus could speak, the line went dead. He stared at the screen. Tasha's voice broke the silence. That wasn't about hot tubs anymore, was it? No, he said quietly. This goes deeper. The next day, Karen posted bail. She was seen back at her home, pacing the porch, glaring at every passing car. Her SUV was gone, her title was stripped, her influence shattered, but somehow, she looked smug. Then, that night, another envelope showed up at Marcus's door. Inside was a photo. His family. At the grocery store. From a distance, no note, no return address. Just a photo. Tasha stared at it, hands shaking. She's watching us. Marcus stared out the window. Karen wasn't just bitter, she was planning something. What would you do if your HOA enemy started sending photos of your family? Comment too far if you think Karen's crossed a dangerous line and hit that subscribe button, because next episode, the twist hits hard. Marcus had seen criminals lie, cheat, and threaten, but rarely had one dared to weaponize a suburban HOA the way Karen had. And now, a photo of his wife and daughter in a grocery store parking lot had been delivered straight to his front door. No envelope, no note, just a message without words. It wasn't just intimidation, it was a line in the sand. Tasha stood by the sink that night, staring at the photo under the kitchen light. You think she took this herself? Marcus shook his head. I don't think she's working alone. He handed the photo to Officer Glenn, A colleague from Internal Affairs who had stopped by after hearing what happened. Glenn studied it and raised an eyebrow. Looks like a zoom lens. Probably taken from across the lot. Could be her. Or someone she hired. But she's out on bail, Marcus said. And she's acting like she's untouchable. Glenn nodded slowly. That's usually a sign. Someone bigger is backing her up. Marcus pulled out the HOA reports again and pointed to the suspicious line item. Private compliance, $14,250. A month. Glenn whistled. That's not petty HOA stuff. That's hush money. Or someone getting paid to protect her. Marcus leaned in. I need to know who's on the HOA payroll. Every single vendor. Every signature. Glenn smirked. I hope you've got strong coffee. That's a lot of digging. But Marcus wasn't alone. The next day, Todd came over with a flash drive. You won't believe this. Karen hired a guy to inspect my yard last month. Said he was with an outside contractor. I got his license plate on my ring cam. Marcus ran the plate through a contact at the DMV. The car was registered to a man named Randy Ellis, who just so happened to be on the HOA vendor list under Neighborhood Oversight Services. Except, he wasn't listed as a licensed contractor anywhere in the state. Marcus dug deeper. Turns out, Randy had 5 different LLC filed under fake addresses, all cycling payments from different HOAs in the area. Canyon Ridge Estates had paid him the most. Karen hadn't just weaponized HOA rules. She'd built an entire shadow operation of compliance enforcement using fake contractors to harass, monitor, and fine residents who got in her way. Somehow, no one had connected the dots. Until now, Tasha helped Marcus pull documents all night. Financial records, digital receipts, screenshots of neighborhood posts. They built a timeline how Karen used fake companies to collect money, reward loyalists, and intimidate neighbors who resisted her authority. By dawn, they had a complete folder. Marcus called Glenn. It's ready. Take it to the DA. Glenn reviewed the evidence and nodded. This'll bring charges. Fraud, conspiracy, misuse of public funds, maybe even racketeering if we get the right prosecutor. But Marcus still had one question. Why us? He asked. Why target my jacuzzi of all things? That answer came later that afternoon when Mr. Daniels, the HOA vice president, showed up with a manila folder of his own. This might explain it. Inside was a copy of an old complaint letter dated from over a year ago, written by Karen. It was an anonymous tip to the city about a suspicious neighbor with a government vehicle and large equipment deliveries. She accused Marcus without name of preparing a meth lab in his backyard. Tasha's jaw dropped. She thought you were a criminal. She assumed I wasn't a cop, Marcus muttered. Probably thought I was D or something. Daniels added quietly, and when your badge showed up in a news article after that domestic case downtown, it must have spooked her. She realized she tried to frame a police officer, so she panicked and doubled down. Marcus sat back. It all made sense now. Karen didn't just hate his jacuzzi. She was trying to cover her tracks, and when she realized who he really was, she went nuclear. Karen Whitmore had always controlled Canyon Ridge Estates from behind a clipboard and a passive-aggressive smile, but now, she was unraveling in real time, facing criminal charges, exposed for fraud, her private compliance racket collapsing. Yet even after crashing through a backyard jacuzzi, she wasn't done because Karen had one more card to play. 3 days after Marcus submitted the fraud files to the district attorney, he received a certified letter, no return address. Inside was a court summons. Karen was suing him for intentional emotional distress, defamation of character, and sabotage of community leadership. Tasha blinked. She's suing you. Marcus scanned the papers. In small claims court, she listed $10,000 in reputational damage. And at the bottom, she'd scrawled a handwritten note. Let's see how far your badge takes you when you're not wearing it. Tasha stared. This woman is delusional or desperate, Marcus muttered. But here's where it got interesting. Karen wasn't just suing Marcus. She was suing the entire HOA board and claimed she had recordings proving their corruption. She submitted a flash drive to the clerk's office. Marcus was skeptical but intrigued. Through legal channels, he obtained a copy of the drive. What he heard changed everything. Karen had recorded herself dozens of audio files, late-night rants, phone calls, even conversations with her fake contractor Randy Ellis. But one recording stood out. Karen, speaking in a whisper, if the HOA doesn't back me, I'll burn it all down. I'll tell them about the cash deals, about the fake permits. I have video. I have backups. Marcus thinks he's clever. He doesn't know I was there. That night, the air in the room shifted. Tasha froze. What night? Marcus played it again. The tone was different, nervous, scared. He remembered. 4 months ago, a noise call. He'd responded alone. Caught 2 teens trying to break into a garage. 3 blocks over. No charges filed, just scared kids. Nothing notable. Except, Karen lived across from that garage. She'd been there, watching. And maybe, just maybe, she'd captured something more than kids. Marcus forwarded the audio to Glenn. Later that night, Glenn called back. You were right to be suspicious, he said. That night, we reopened the report. Turns out, there was a third suspect, unidentified. Security footage was mysteriously erased. Marcus leaned forward. Karen, we think she was blackmailing someone who was involved. Someone on the HOA board. That's why they never challenged her. Why they gave her so much power. Suddenly, everything made sense. Karen had built an empire, not just of fake rules and fines, but of secrets. She wasn't a power-hungry retiree. She was a master manipulator, but now, her own recordings were her undoing. 3 days later, the court threw out Karen's civil case. Then came the real hammer. Criminal charges: wire fraud, conspiracy to commit extortion, misuse of HOA funds, and obstruction of justice. When officers arrived to serve the warrant, Karen didn't scream. She didn't run. She stood on her front porch in a bathrobe, holding peaches, and smiled. I always said this neighborhood would fall apart without me. Marcus stood across the street, arms folded. We're still standing. Karen was taken into custody, this time without bail. Her mugshot made local news, and the HOA, they voted to dissolve her private compliance program, issued full refunds to affected residents, and restructured leadership under full public transparency. Marcus replaced his jacuzzi with a better one. The neighborhood planted a tree where the SUV had hit the fence. Nina called it the Karen tree. And Tasha, she started a blog, the HOA Chronicles. What your bylaws don't want you to know. As for Marcus, he kept the footage, the photos, and Karen's confession locked in a folder on his computer titled, Evidence, just in case. Because people like Karen, they don't disappear, they just wait. Ever face someone who wouldn't stop no matter how wrong they were? Comment, stay ready if you think Marcus handled it like a pro. And hit that like and subscribe, because in this neighborhood, the drama never really ends.